guys, how are you? I hope you're doing well. I am doing well myself, and I'm thankful to God for this time that I'm able to pop in here and just do a video, just talk to you guys, and you know, share a time with you. So I'm so grateful for the growing numbers. If you're a new subscriber, welcome. We are so glad to have you here. I always say that this is a safe and good space to be in. You're really safe here, yeah. And to the returning subscribers, the older subscribers, I am just so appreciative that you're still here, still working with us. That's a mighty good thing. So as the title suggests, today we are talking about going abroad and managing expectations and having other people manage them too, because there can be so much pressure with all this relocation. So Kuondoka si Kuomoka. And why I'm saying this is because a lot of times when people leave the country, I don't know if some people are just so good at communicating that their people understand, or generally people have a feeling of the things, of how things work. But I've been wanting to say that along with or in the same vein of managing expectations, there's so many, as much as there's so much difference in being abroad, you don't immediately make it, and sometimes the first 2 to 3 years can be so hard that you feel like it's too much pressure. And I don't know why that pressure happens like that, especially because I know it's not only when people go abroad. Sometimes it's also when you leave the village to go to a city. There's so much difference, there's so much to adjust to, but you feel so pressured from all directions. It's a pressure to learn, pressure to assimilate, pressure to do new things, be the person you feel like you're expected to be in the new season. Pressure from other people and their expectations, and sometimes you just don't know how to respond to that. Welcome, and let's talk about this today. So I mentioned last time at the very tail of the video that I'll be talking about the various ways or the various places you have to go through before you come into your own. And your own may be just the place where you're comfortable to communicate your expectations, comfortable to deal with the people around you, comfortable to be with yourself and be at peace, because there's so much pressure again, as I said, because you even put pressure on yourself on how to be on this other side, pressure to survive, pressure to be successful, yeah, because we always feel like leaving or coming abroad equals to success, but sometimes it's a long road to getting there. So number one, I mentioned last time that some people, when they come here, they have to adjust to the environment and realize that I don't know whether people know exactly where they're going to live when they come. Most people, especially people coming to the States, expect that they'll be hosted. Most people go for being hosted, and I've seen experiences. I've never been hosted, and I've never hosted anyone, but I've seen experiences both good and bad. Some people had very good experiences, and they went ahead to do the same, to host the people that followed them. And some people had such bad experiences that they never want to do that again. But to the person who is coming and is focused on their journey or doing their own thing, I do really promote independence, and I hope that that would be the case for very many people. Although some people, all they know is that they have to be hosted. So there's this thing where nowadays people who work in this manner and they are very independent as people know that, of course, they're coming abroad this way. Perhaps they're coming for a job or school or that, or so many other aspects. But most people who are coming to a school will be perhaps focused on living in the hostels, although they turn out to be very expensive. Some people will come here for a job or through a green card, and once they've been hosted for a while, or they lived here for a while, because there are people who even book Airbnbs while in their country of residence, and just you know, as they book their plane tickets, they will book Airbnbs, because perhaps they know where they're going, which cities. And like now, every city has Airbnbs, or some will even book hotels or motels or lodging, and they know how long they will be staying in that place as they get used to the neighborhood and perhaps rent a place. Now, so many people, before they get settled, are very likely to be living in affordable homes, which would be like shared living spaces. Yeah, some people will even as young people, rent an apartment and just share it with somebody else. Some will do it as friends from college, but some will have their you know, like a room to rent, and they will do that and just cohabit so that they can be able to manage their bills. This is because rent abroad is so very much expensive. I don't know if there's anything as expensive as the rent, because everything else is manageable. If it's a car you take, you can pay in bits. Yeah, granted, you might need to put down a deposit or something like that, but for most people who pay rent, it has to be paid in full every end or beginning of the month. There's no negotiation. You can actually be reported, you know, in courts. You can be sued for not paying rent, or for just falling into hard times, and that leads to newcomers abroad having a very hard time. But you quickly realize that in order to survive, there's some things you cannot compromise on. That is rent and your other bills like electricity. My lord, with all these changes in weather, can you imagine not paying your electricity bill? If it is a time like this, it's raining outside right now, but the AC has to be on because it's very hot and humid. I'm saying that although I still have my coat on. I just came and I wanted to get this video done with, so before I start my stuff. And so it gets very tricky for most people. You have to know where to live, because you can't live on the streets. Yeah, and it's a place where you're new, so it's a place where you're new, you don't know anybody, and even if you know people, you could be too grown to want to live with people, and sometimes even the people you know don't even have space to accommodate you. Yeah, so it can be very tricky. Yeah, so some things you'll find that you can manage. Actually, some things may sound like they're very expensive, even food. And of course, you know, you can't eat at the restaurant every day, even though food does seem like it's cheaper before you get like it's cheaper once you settle down. You feel like it's only $5 or it's only $10. Yeah, but you can't do that every day. At some point, you have to learn ways to get cheaper stuff and to spread it throughout the month until you get paid. If it's being paid, you're getting paid, or for some people they get, you know, money from whichever sources, or from home, from parents. Thinking of students who have to come here and just survive. So before you get your job, before you get settled, before you're earning your keep, you have to find a way to just survive. Yeah, so the elements are so harsh. You have to take care of your bills so that you can be covered. When it's very cold, you want to have heat. I've had stories where especially young people would party but not have heat in the home, and so if people have to spend some time together, like they're partying but they've covered themselves in blankets, because yeah, it can be so cold sometimes, and when it's hot, it's really hot. Yeah, so yeah, it's different. This is a different game. It's nowhere you can survive by, you know, asking from your neighbor. In fact, it could be considered shameful, and your neighbor would even report. I was asking a friend of mine how they maintain their environment, because she's been to Africa and she was wondering why do people keep it so dirty. And I was saying it's a tropical country, so red soil and all of that. And of course we have so many people out in the streets because it's a tropical country, so people will be doing their economic activities or games or whatever out there. Of course, when people are occupying a space, they leave their prints. Yeah, it's not so much here because when it's so hot, you don't have so many people out there. And also it's a working economy. A lot of people are always working. If they're not working, even kids, when they're not in school, they're in sports or just inside the house doing something. Even if they have to go outside, it's not, they won't be outside for long. It's not like the way Africa, you can be outside for a whole day. Yeah, it's different, mostly because of the elements. And so you find that you have to cater for wherever your kids are, and also where you are yourself. Yeah, you can't just be anywhere. Again, you can't also be somewhere visiting people for the whole day, so people have to be very mindful of time. And I think that is some of the major differences that I see. People are so mindful about what they do. But anyway, when I asked her, she said there's no way this the environment can deteriorate too much, because anything that you do, your neighbor is watching and they will call the authorities on you. So you can't have something sitting outside for too long. You can't have your garbage sitting outside, especially when it's not the day that it's supposed to be outside, and all of that, so on and so forth. Yeah. And whenever like we have our garbage outside, and like there's strong winds and some things are blown away, you'll find that the city is very careful to clean up after themselves, or after us. There are people to do that, and of course they're paid well. So that sort of helps to maintain. I don't know. Look, it's a very good system in how they maintain the environment. I'm one person who cares a lot about the environment, and just to see it clean, I feel appreciative, and I wish that it would be the same for all of us, because it's sort of like we have the same facilities. Yeah, if it's parks, we have parks, we have water bodies, we have all of that. Yeah, but how do we maintain that? Although there's much improvement in most parts of Africa, but I'm not comparing. It's a different ball game. It's different weather patterns, So yeah, it's kind of different. So when you come, you have to give yourself time. Yeah, avoid all the pressure, because I've realized one thing, especially that is facing the migrants or foreigners in this land, is that we get sick a lot. And when you look at the patterns, you find that the sicknesses are mostly out of stress. The sicknesses are out of eating habits. Yeah, so sometimes it's like you change your way of eating. I know I'm one person who tried to adjust to the American cooking, learning new recipes and all that, and I found that it's not suiting most of us. So you have to again go to the drawing board and realize that you have to come up with something that suits your bodies, because your cells have grown up, you've grown in eating certain foods. Yeah, of course your cells are asking for that. Yeah, your body knows, your body has a history. So when you try to adjust to different foods, it can reject or you can get sick. Yeah, there's so many lifestyle habits that lead to diseases like diabetes, and so many others. Yeah, just lots of inflammatory diseases, and of course that call for you to change your diet or be mindful of what you're eating. And as a person who cooks online, I put my food out there, I would say that is something to be watchful about. I also do cakes, and yeah, I don't know if there's anything as damaging as sugar, but for celebration and all that, it's just nice to have a cake sometimes. But it's one of the things that we have to watch out for. Yeah, so I would say, like, when you come here, if you could just still keep your diet. Yeah, because a place like this, America especially, and I see even in the small towns of Canada, like we have our flour, maize meal. They have like the foods that we are used to, like skooma. Most of the foods that we know are here. but it's just the way we cook differently. So I would say we have to maintain the same way of eating so that we don't get sick. A lot of people are sick, and I work in the industry. I feel so bad just seeing, that you could get sick out of eating, or you could get issues like fatty liver, and sometimes that is not because of eating. Sometimes it's because you have like a weak liver, just the same way someone would have issues with their kidney or lungs or heart. So you have to be very careful. Most often, because of the changes, your issues or your body weaknesses will show, and so you have to now keep start seeing a doctor, start getting different advices, or like your issues are more exposed to you now and you have to address them. But it's only at the time when you want to focus on other things, say like growing yourself, growing your family, growing, so like so many changes that you have to adjust to. God, I don't know how time flies so much, but I'm just saying that when you come here, before you Omoka, there's so many things that will be pulling you back, so many pressures, disease, not feeling at ease with yourself, and you have to adjust into that and adjust to the new normal, finding where you fit in economically, financially, mentally. Economically, financially is the same thing, but finding where you fit in, and also taking your time, because like I said the last time, you won't just fit in at once because you found your people. I love knowing that I'm surrounded by people who I can work with, especially in business. Like I did a video before where I said that if you teach yourself a skill, that you can offer your people abroad, it will pay you. Yeah, so if it's kinyozi, if it's doing hair, if it's doing like cakes, it will benefit you a lot. So we have to work towards settling ourselves and finding peace within ourselves, and also just trusting God. Something else that we have to manage is thinking that when you reach here, you'll just do so many times God will be putting a stop into anything you feel like he'll be clipping your wings, because anything that you started in prayer, anything that you started by trusting God, you have to maintain it by prayer. You can never veer off too far from God, because it will be a loss for you. There's nothing, and if you come here, you will see, there's nothing so great that you won't need God. There's nothing that you will encounter, or a life that you will encounter, that is so great that you won't need your God. So humbly you will return, because you will realize out here it's a jungle, and a lot of people have come and partied so much, not caring so much about their spiritual life, even though there's just more information than I've ever seen before. The people know so much, people are sharing so much, especially out there, in the social media. People are sharing a lot, and the more you learn, the more you realize that if I take this route, it will not take me where I'm supposed to go. So just know there's nothing you will ever see that will allow you to move far from God. I have seen people being helped, unacharazwa for every time you go too far, because God will let you play, because he has taught you, he has built you, he has given you chances, and God does marvelous things, so we can know who he is, and we can know it is him who holds us and has the power to guide us and keep us where he wants to keep us. But many times we are like, I don't care, so manage your spirituality. Do not think, man, if I can give you a tip, that is one major tip I will tell you: do not move away from God. And even if you feel like you don't feel the same way you used to do, because God, we know him spiritually, we are spiritual beings. It doesn't matter where you are, he will find you, he'll have communion with you. So endeavor also to have a communion with him, so he may guide you. There's no time you will never need God's guidance, you know. And where everything is concerned, and even living, especially as Black people, you will find that you need God more than ever. He's the one who can guide you and take you whenever you need to be, wherever you need to be guided. So never leave God. So with those 3 points, I think it is lifestyle and avoiding pressure and settling on your own terms. Under one, just managing and living where you can afford, because living, you can feed yourself anytime, but affording living expenditures, that will be one of the major ones. So just if that can help you to just communicate better in the expectations that are on you, that would be just great. Yeah, it would take some pressure off you. So living, not changing your diets too much, you know. If you could keep to the food that you used to eat, and also now still stayed in God. Don't veer off too far. There's no raha, there's nothing you can get that will equal the love of God or having his presence in your life. So wherever you go, and you know, like the prodigal son, when he demanded to leave the father's house, the father let him, because he knew no matter where my son goes, it's better if he goes and sees for himself, because when he comes back, he will come back humble. And the dad was right. It's the same thing. God will let us go or do whatever we want, but when we come back to him, we will be humbled, because he knows there's nothing the world can offer us that he cannot. So let's be stayed in God. Whatever you get in prayer, you will maintain it with prayer. So keep praying. Don't stop even when you come over here. So Karibu Ng'ambo. May God keep you and bless you. Make his face shine upon you and give you peace, because it's very important. Bye-bye. I'll see you on the next one.